Well, Merry Christmas, guys, and welcome to another episode of Second Life Electronics. Today, we're going to be doing a bit more work on that Amiga 500, because as I'm sure you've seen from the previous video, we're able to run all the Workbench games completely fine via HDMI, but at present we still have to use the composite adapter on the modulator in order to be able to play anything that's not Workbench. So, we're going to be installing what's called a Framethrower kit that goes in where the Denise chip normally goes in. The Denise chip then plugs in on top of that. And then this will enable us to use the camera port on the Raspberry Pi that we've already got as part of the PiStorm in order to capture all of the video and bung every part of it over HDMI. So let's get started. Okay then, guys, so the first thing we're going to do in order to install the Framethrower kit into the Amiga is obviously going to be to open up the Amiga. So let's make sure we've got nothing connected up. And then it's just removing the same screws that we did in the previous videos. Four, 5, and 6. That's be clipped. That's it. I see there's quite a lot of rust on that disk drive, but never mind. So all we need to do is this Framethrower will plug in where the Denise chip was. The Denise chip then plugs into this, and then it's as straightforward as connecting a ribbon cable between here and the Raspberry Pi, and then we should be away. So first off, let's carefully prise this Denise chip out of its socket. And we'll try to be as careful as we can. There we go. Well, be careful not to bend the pins like I just did. Be a little bit more careful than I was. Okay, so that's going to plug straight onto there. And now this. I'm going to plug in where the Denise chip was. Okay. And we're going to need to take that keyboard, move it out of the way a little bit. We need to now access our Raspberry Pi. Okay. And then we're going to want to take this ribbon cable. So this is actually the camera port on the Raspberry Pi. The way the Framethrower works, it actually uses the Raspberry Pi's camera interface in order to pick up the signal. It'll usually be going through the composite port, the component port, that's right. So it literally picks up the signal directly from the Denise chip to achieve that, which I think is a fantastic way of doing things. Plug it there. And now in theory, that should be all we need to do in order to get all of our games, not just the Workbench games, but all of our games now showing up by the HDMI port. Let's if I remembered where the power plug was. There. So I'm going to have to clean all of this up, make it all nice and neat in there. But just this testing, this will be okay. Okay, I need to plug the HDMI into the TV. And find the TV remote. Okay. Now we want to be on HDMI 2. Okay. Okay, so let's see. I know one thing that didn't work before. I think that's an expert. Well, I'm looking for sysinfo, kind of benchmarks. There you go, sysinfo. The last time I ran this before, it didn't have any output because obviously it wasn't able to go through. That was being sent out of the other port. And in theory, Okay, that's still not doing that at the moment. I wonder if we need to put a configuration file on the SD card. So let's have a look at that whilst we've got access to the SD card with the Amiga open. Bear with me 1 second. Okay then guys, so yes, there was one more little step that I'd missed out. I did need to add a bit to the command line. To enable the Framethrower. And let's see if that's done it. So expert, benchmarks, info. Okay, so it's not quite right there. Let's double check that cable. Maybe I've flipped the cable over on one side, maybe. Let's just double check that. Do it come in that way. Okay, let's make sure that both ends are plugged in properly. Let's try that. Might have plugged it on the right way. Okay, let's try that. Okay, that didn't look great then, did it? Okay, why is that corrupted? Okay, let's reset that. Okay, I'm going to give a shout out to the first person in the comments that lets me know the comments and says what caused that problem. It's something that I did wrong. But now we've got the ability to have all of the software running straight through HDMI. So as you can see, we're running sysinfo directly through HDMI. And just how powerful this Amiga is now, and then we're straight back into the dashboard. Now there is one last step, because if I was to fire up, let's see, That's 2140. You notice we've got absolutely no sound. So I've come up with a little solution for that. So as it stands at the moment, the audio is still going out of the RCA connectors on the back and not via the HDMI. So what I've grabbed is this little HDMI audio embedder, which enables us to use a line in, which I've got here. So this will give us our audio from the RCA cables, connections on the back, and then it will embed the audio into the HDMI. So we only have to have one cable connected up to the telly. I mean, we do actually have an AV receiver, so I could do it separately, but I want to give this a try. Plus, it would also be nice to have my lovely long HDMI cable being external of the machine, so that I can reuse that for other devices when they need a HDMI. So this is USB powered, which is handy because we do have obviously the USB port on the Raspberry Pi, which I'm hoping to utilize. Now I have got to work out exactly how I'm going to mount all of this in. What I'm just looking at is I don't actually need the RAM expansion in this particular Amiga 500, because obviously we've got all of our fast RAM being handled by the Raspberry Pi. So maybe what I could do is make a mount for it all to go in here. But the idea will be I'll have this smaller HDMI cable in, which will go inside the machine. And obviously that power cable. I'm going to see if I can feed these up through that the same port just for now, just for testing purposes. That will make sure we don't snag that cable. And these will then come to the left and right audio out jacks. And then we put our HDMI cable in there. And in theory, we should now also have working sound as well. Maybe we'll knock something slightly. Try again. There we go. Now in theory, let's find that game again. Earth 2140. Let's see if we've got sound. Ah, right, okay. I don't think that's actually a problem with the setup. I think that's actually, with the setup, but I think it's more a problem with my particular setup, because I'm running through the AV receiver. The AV receiver has snatched the audio. So let's try running that HDMI cable into the AV receiver. Okay. Plug that into media player. Hey, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay. Let's give that another try. Let's see. Okay. There we go. So that's a line. And there we go. We have sound. Use an old ball mouse on your leg is not the best things to do, but there we go. We now have full sound completely via HDMI. This Amiga is now officially modernized. Now it just needs a bloody good cleanup, and then all will be good. So there we have it, all working, complete with sound, all via that HDMI. So we only have to run one cable from the Amiga. I am going to start looking into ways that I can incorporate all of that electronics inside the machine. It would be nice to literally just have one HDMI port that we plug into and not have all the wires everywhere. But it's good enough. It's Christmas, so I don't want to be spending too much time, and my soldering station is just packed up. Typical. So I think I'm not going to try and repair that at the moment because I need a soldering iron to repair the soldering iron. Instead, I'm going to go and play some Xmas Lemmings. Goodbye for now.